Anyone can spot a trend when it is already obvious. The edge is catching it while it still looks boring. Well, in this video, I'll give you my early trend playbook. A simple 3-layer confirmation, right, using the long-term trend and the short-term trend, and a 1GT bullish signal from my 1GT Pro indicator, so you can identify strong trends early and you know exactly when to get in, manage risk with confidence before the crowd. Let's go. So first of all, let's talk about what does early actually means, right? Early of the trend, right? Well, essentially this means that the trend is just beginning to turn out, all right? Whereby there could be a lot of upside potential if you get in early. But if you were to get in like somewhere at the middle point and somewhere at the higher point, well, you might have already missed out on the upside. So that's what I mean by early, right? So you kind of like position yourself to get in when it only just began. That's where the upside reward will be much more than the downside risk, of course, when we get these 3 confirmations that I talk about. So the very first confirmation that I'll talk about today would be that of the longer term trend, right? So we always want to take trades that are in the same direction as the longer term trend. And when I talk about longer term trend, well, we are looking at a period of at least more than 6 months, maybe up to a year or more, right? And that's where we want to be aligned with the longer term trend. And how do we do it? Well, we have what we call the 1GT Pro indicator, but you can actually pull out what we call the longer term moving averages. And I use the 200 days moving average and the 100 days simple moving average as well. So let me just show you what I mean to kind of like tell whether the trend is up or down in the longer term. So based on this 1GT Pro indicator right over here. So this stock is SIA Engineering, one of the stocks that we have covered since a couple of months back. We are in fact starting to see more bullish actions in this stock. But let's take a look at the longer term trend for this stock, maybe since a couple of months back. So let's turn on what we call the moving averages, the longer term moving averages, right? So that will be the 200 days moving average and the 100 days moving average. So I have this 1GT Pro indicator whereby I have all the confirmations, all the boxes there. In a matter of seconds, I can turn on all these boxes and it gives me more confirmations on a particular trade, right? And let's talk about the first thing, right? The longer term trend, right? So let's turn on these 2 boxes, which will to pull out the 100 days moving average, the red line, and the blue line, right? So how did we tell if the longer term trend is up or down? Well, very simple, right? You can see that right over here, can see like maybe like last year, right? You see both the red line and the blue line. I mean, for almost 1 over a year, all right? It was pretty much boring. Look at it, right? I mean, it was just like moving sideways. Look at the red and the blue line, right? From like May 2023 all the way to maybe September 2024, for almost 1.5 years. The red and the blue line were just going sideways, right? It's like flat, up a bit, down a bit, right? But they are pretty much flat, crossing above and below one another, but flat. So the longer term trend was sideways. Boring, right? Boring. I probably would not want to get into a stock like this because it's just moving up and down sideways. After a few months, you look back, the price is still the same. All right, so probably not, right? We only want to get in when there are clear signs of the longer term trend turning up. And when did that come in for SIA Engineering? Well, it came in, I would say, somewhere maybe over here, right? Whereby we got the confirmation, the longer term trend, the red line, 100 days moving average, has crossed above the 200 days moving average blue line. So there's a kind of like a confirmation whereby we are starting to see some signs of the longer term trend turning up. So when that happened, you can see that we started to push even higher. Right now, obviously the red is still above the blue. All right, the longer term trend is still intact. Another case study, right? Food Empire, one of the stocks that we like as well since the beginning of the year. Look at this, right? The 100 days moving average, the red is above the blue. I would say that the longer term trend is still up. It has been up since like March. It was, as I say, boring, right? Something like SIA Engineering, boring since 2024, right? Sideways. But then we come like broke above some of the key resistance, like the $1, the 120, and the red went above the blue. Both started to turn up over the past 4, 5, 6 months. It is still pointing up, right? And prices have gone even higher. It's formed what we call higher lows. In fact, we can also draw what we call an upward sloping channel support line connecting the lows. That's what we call a higher lows, right? It's a sign of an uptrend whereby buyers are coming out to defend the prices, right? As it moves even higher, and they don't mind buying at higher prices, and that's where it goes higher and higher. Higher lows, higher highs. Another example, Yangzijiang Financial Holdings. So quite clearly, this stock has been in our watch list since last year. Very slow and steady, I would say, longer term uptrend. 100 days moving average above the blue line, right? Red above the blue, both pointing up. Higher lows as well. Definitely in a good longer term uptrend. So we want to be focusing on counters like this, right? that there's potential to push even higher. So now that we've covered the first point, which would be the longer term trend, next we want to dive into what we call the short term trend, or kind of like the short term momentum. Is it pointing up? Is it pointing down? All right, we want to only get in when it is pointing up as well. That means when that happens, not only is the longer term trend up, but the short term trend or the short term momentum is up as well, and that's where there's a higher potential to make some good money in terms of a upside. Does it make sense, far? All right, so let's talk a look at this stock right over here called SIA Engineering. Right? So we'll talk about the longer term trend, right? The red and blue line both pointing up. This stock obviously is still in a good longer term uptrend. But now what we could do is to turn on another line, and that will be what we call the 20 days simple moving average. Right over here, let's turn it on. Pump, there we go. And that would pull out the green line on my chart right over here. So you can see, right, the longer term trend has been up since April. However, when we look at the short term trend, we can take a look at the green line. Right? So how do we tell whether it's up or down? Well, if the green line is pointing down, not so good. The short-term trend is down. We only want to think about getting in when the short-term trend has turned up. Means the green line has started to point up. Right over here, somewhere in May. Look at this, like up from May to June, all the way to July. And what happens is started to flatten out. Boring, right? Boring, right? But let's take a look at what has happened over the past few days. Well, it seems like there are some signs of the green line starting to point up. Does it make sense? Look at this, right? Starting to point up. I'm not too sure whether it go even higher, but it seems like it is starting to point up. That's what I mean by early trend. It could be the beginning of even more upside as we are starting to see signs of the short-term trend turn from sideways to up. So that's how we gauge the short-term trend of any stock or any asset classes. Let's take a look at another example. So this is the same food empire, right? We covered the long-term trend. Let's take a look at the green line. Very simple, right? Is the green line pointing up or down? Well, obviously the green line is not always up, right? Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's flat, and then up, flat, and now it is starting to point up. Does it make sense about, right? So when it's flat, it just means that the short-term trend is sideways. I mean, you could take a position there. It just means a consolidation, taking a breather, resting for a while before hopefully pushing higher. But we want to think about getting in, preferably when there are signs of the short-term trend or the green line starting to turn up. I think that would be better, right? Because it might go flat, but it could be flat for 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, 5 months, 10 months. Nobody knows how long, right? So if you get in over there when it's flat, well, you might be stuck. I mean, so it's okay, just that you might be stuck. So you rather wait for more confirmation to get in when only the clear upside momentum in the short term actually comes back. You see what I'm saying? So what? So food empire, right? Long-term trend is up. Obviously, the short-term trend based on the green line, it is still pointing up right now. The third example, Yang Zhejiang Financial Holding, right? So I mentioned long-term trend is up. Let's take a look at the green line. So the green line, you see, right, was like up since beginning of 2025. Very strong rally, right? From like about 50 cents all the way to 70 cents. And what happened, right? The green line started to flatten out, right? So it turns sideways. You could take some profit, get out. It's a bit of a consolidation. You can see green line, flat. Not 1 month, not 2 months, but about 3 months, right? A bit boring, right? So you could take some profit, get out, right? Wait for the time to come back in again when the green line actually just begins to turn up right over here somewhere in July. Pam, there we go, right? And all we go up. Is it still pointing up? Yes, it is still pointing up. So I would say right now the longer term trend is up, the short term trend is up. So what do I mean by early? Well, early just means that when the longer term trend is already up and the short term trend, the green 20 days moving average line, just started to point up early, right over here. That's what I mean by early. Same thing over here, early, where it just started to point up from like flat, just starting to point up. That's what I mean by early, right? Getting in at potentially the beginning of a positive move or bullish move up. So there we have it. We have pretty much two confirmations by looking at the long-term trend and the short-term trend for any counters, right? Now let's move on to the third confirmation that I want to seek as well for any entry and even an exit, right? And that will be what we call the bullish and bearish signals from my 1GT Pro indicator. Right over here, let me turn on. So we have turned on the 3 lines, right? The green, the red, and the blue line. Right over here, till 3 boxes have been ticked, right? And that's where this 1GT Pro indicator, guides us on entry and exit as well. All right, so let me go to turn on the very first box right here. Show buy and sell signals on the chart. So let's turn it on. 1, 2, 3, boom. And there we go. Let's see what happens, right? Well, right now, you can see that apart from the red, the blue, and green lines, now we have bullish green signals coming out on the chart, and even bearish red signals coming out in the chart, right? Right over here, you can see, right? So we talk about the green line, right? Kind of like, going down, 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 turning up, the long-term trend was sideways. But you can see that we actually got another confirmation whereby some bullishness is starting to come back right over here, right? 17th of April, it went up a little bit. The green line was still pointing down, right? So we want to wait for the confirmation whereby a bullish signal comes in, the short-term trend is up, potentially the longer term trend is up even better, right? So you can see right over here, right? Well, we got a bullish signal, but green line still pointing down. So not really, right? Only over here whereby the green line started to point out, that would be another confirmation, right? Finally, we got a bullish signal, the green line turned up, and what happens? We got another 1GT bullish signal actually coming out. That will be another confirmation as well, all right, in terms of more upside. So you can see that's where we started to push all the way up. That's what I call by additional confirmation. We want to seek what we call a confluence of factors all pointing to the upwards direction. So we have what we call a 7-point checklist. These are just 3 confirmations. Normally you want to seek for 4 or more confirmations, but I think this, based on what we're seeing right now, it's a pretty good move up, right? Just based on 3 confirmations. And of course, it started to push up, up, up. As I say, right, the green line started to turn sideways and we got a bearish signal. It just means some selling is coming back. It doesn't mean it's going to crash, but no, when we get a bearish signal, it means that, take some profit, and nothing wrong to take some profit. I mean, looking at the very first bullish signal that comes out, the green line turns out from here to here, there will be a 42% in about 2 months, right? So pretty good, right? Take some profit, get out. You can see, right? I mean, it turns boring, right? The green line started to turn sideways. So get out first, right? Wait for more upside momentum to come back. Wait for maybe a few more bullish signals to come back. So, I was alerted to this stop again over the past few days. That's why I wanted to cover it in this video, because we have not 1, but 2 new bullish signals that have appeared or that have got triggered over the past 1 week. Look at this, right? 2 bullish signals. Let's just go through the confirmation, right? So longer term trend up, right? I mean, we've talked about the red and blue line. It's been up since last year, all right? I mean, since like May, right? Since May, the red is above the blue. No problem, right? The green line that was sideways, I think we talked about it, that it has just started to turn up. Look at the green line, right? Just started to turn out. So that is another confirmation. Plus, we got not 1, but we got 2 bullish signals coming. And there we go, right? So I got my team to send out a note to our clients in Philip Securities by WhatsApp, and over the past few days, it started to push even higher, 357, right? And what we could do right now is that you can see that we can draw as another confirmation. We could draw what we call some resistance level. So I think 335 was a little bit of what we call a resistance, a horizontal resistance, whereby we touched, right, somewhere over here in July, came down, over the past 1-2 days, we neared it, a bit of profit taking, but look at this, right? We got a 1GT bullish signal, the second one came out, we broke above it, and we started to push higher. So that could be another confirmation whereby it's slightly more aggressive entry. We breaks the resistance, whereby targets could be revised even higher. So I think right now, potential targets could be, from here, revised all the way. So this is a consolidation phase that we could project it upwards, maybe all the way to 370, and then even all the way to that $4 level. So this is what SI engineering, right? So that's where we want to seek for more confirmations, right? In terms of getting ready to catch the early trend, right? Only when it begins, right? Not when it was boring. Like if you ask me, 2 weeks ago, I probably say wait, because it was still sideways. The green line was still sideways. We were still below that resistance level. I have no idea when it would break the resistance, right? But now it's just beginning to happen. It's pushed a bit higher. That could be the start of even more upside. Back to the second case study, right? Food Empire. Now we have turned on the 1GT bullish signal as well. So you can see, right? We got a 1GT bullish signal as another confirmation. Long-term trend was up. Short-term trend, look at the green line, right? It was slightly sideways, maybe slightly pointing up, right? And the 1GT bullish signal appeared. And then look at this, right? Up, consolidate, up, consolidate. We got another 1GT bullish signal as another confirmation coming out. So that's why, I put this stock in my watch list again, because a new bullish signal have came out. I think right over here, why? We have kind of like broken, look at this, we've broken this resistance level. So 250, I would say, will be a little bit of a resistance. Look at this, right over here in July, we touched, came down, but pump, we broke above the 250 psychological resistance level. That would be another confirmation, a little bit more aggressive entry if you want. Pretty good bullish candlestick. So candlestick, that will be another confirmation. That's a little bit more advanced stuff, right? But if we see, on the day whereby it breaks a key horizontal resistance, we get a bullish signal plus a very bullish candlestick. This is what we call a bullish Marubozu pattern, right? A very bullish candlestick whereby it opens right at the day low, closes right at the day high. It means that buyers are totally in control when we broke the 250 resistance. That could be another confirmation of even more upside. And look at this, right? Bullish signal came out. Red and blue line, long-term trend is obviously up since like last year. Green line up, bullish signal came out. Right now, we are kind of like about $2.69. So we may even have found what we call a higher support levels. Let me just go to draw maybe this higher supporting like 260. So 250 would be a support level that we would want to stay above because the resistance has turned into a support. But not even 250. It seems like 260 have came out as a higher support. So I think 260 will be all the way to like $2.75. We might just be consolidating in this range, maybe taking a rest for a while. Well, and maybe even breaking that 275 resistance to push even higher. Back to the third case study, Young Financial Holding, right? So now, of course, we have turned on our 1GT bullish and bearish signals, right? The box right over here, the very first box has another confirmation on top of the long-term trend and the short-term trend, the green, red, and blue line. So you can see, right? Remember, I circled it right over here whereby I talk about the beginning, the early trend when it's happening, right? But you can see that was where we actually got another confirmation right over here. So the green line just started to point up. You got a new 1GT bullish signal. The long-term trend is up. That will be what we call a confluence of factors, right? So of course you can see that pretty bullish candlestick bar coming out right over here when the bullish signal was triggered. Next day another bullish candlestick bar and all the way up. We have gone up by, I would say, let's just see, right? I mean, from here to here, there will be a 61% in about 2-3 months. So these are the confirmations that we look out for, right? So you found a little bit more in terms of more confirmations that we want to seek, right? Another 1, 2, or 3 more confirmations that can really push up the win rate. Well, what you want to do is to attend a free webinar. The link is right below the video. Click on it, register for a free webinar, and this way I'll show you guys a bit more about the entire One Good Trend framework, or perhaps how you could have a tool like this 1GT Pro indicator whereby we could turn on the boxes, get more confirmations, and know exactly when to get in and also when to get out if we see a bearish signal plus a few more other bearish confirmations. Does it make sense? Attend the free webinar, the link is right below the video, and that's where I look forward to share with you guys the entire strategy live. So one of the very powerful features of this 1GT Pro indicator as another confirmation very quickly would be that of the trailing support and resistance. You can see, right, when we got the bullish signal coming out right over here in May, well, right below the price, there's a trailing support that pops out. Right? A trailing support, it follows the price of a stock and it gives it the breathing space to hopefully move higher. So this price moves up. You can see the trailing support follows it up even higher, right? Up, flat, up, flat, up, flat, up, flat, 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 up, flat, follow, right? And we are kind of like still above the trailing support. So it accounts for volatility, right? So as long as we stay above the trailing support, we're fine, we're safe, right? Chill, right? Let it ride still, right? So that will become like another confirmation that we're going to seek as well, to know that the uptrend is still intact, not just in the longer term, not just in the short term, but just by being above the volatility space that we give the stock, that it stays above it still, right? The trailing support line. So that's it, guys, for this video. All right, I hope that you have taken note of the, a glimpse of the entire One Good Trend strategy. Attend a free webinar. The link is right below the video. All right, click on it, register for this webinar, and I can't wait to share with you guys a bit more of the entire strategy, how we can use this 1GT Pro indicator, how you can hopefully use it as well together with us. All right, and to time your entry and exit much better, get in, get out at the right time without second guessing, without emotions, without thinking too much. Register for this free webinar. Joey here. Thank you so much for watching this video. I look forward to see you in the next video. And of course, hit the subscribe button, the follow button if you have not yet done so. I'll see you soon.